There we go. Cool. Okay. Audio should be coming through. We'll see if anyone joins. I'm just working on continuing progress on my Mounthaven. I can show you where we are right about now, stepwise. Yeah, just working away on the lava. So here, I'll give an example one. So just get Roderick into focus. So I've worked on getting the it's freaking out. I've been working on getting the blue, the kind of like the night highlight coloring is more or less done. I might do some blending on it just to smooth it out a bit more later. I might go back for one extra highlight. So now what we're working on is the actual lava base. So I was working on getting the start of the bright red colors there the other day, and then what we'll do is we'll start highlighting up the red glow just to make it so it looks brighter near the base again. And then, for Pure Project, we'll go back and do the glowy other bits. Might need to add a bit more OSL coming from those directions. Probably won't make it as strong as, for example, the lava red. But with that, yesterday I was working away at getting the bulk of the lava done. I'm just going to do the highest highlight now. I was using for colors of the base. I had some vermilion red, and then mixing that in some medium orange, and now I'm starting to bring in the yellow. I'm going to try doing a mix of the medium orange and the just plain old yellow. See if that's a stark enough jump up, or if I want to just go straight all the way to yellow. I'm not going to show all the models and how they're doing kind of as we get to them. So let's see the color on the side. The orange is actually overpowering the yellow a little bit. So I might jump straight to the yellow, or I'm just going to add a bit more yellow. Let's see how it goes. This color, the plan is to do it pretty much just right along the edges of all of the rocks. I was looking at different source images for lava, and realistically, lava is just hard to predict. And sometimes, honestly, actual lava to me doesn't look as good as fake lava. Just, it just doesn't. A lot of the time, it's actually less just glowing fire and more cracky. But that's not what I wanted to do for the bases, so I didn't. So we're not going to do that. So, first model, so always keeps it being my test model. When I'm painting these guys is going to actually be my Ishmael, who is being painted in the same scheme. So let's start working on him. I'm trying to focus it so it's good. We'll zoom out a bit and see if we can just make it better. Cool. Everyone joins and has thoughts. Switch the side paints on so that we can keep crossing over the camera. Okay. stray bunny hair trying to creep up there. If a little bit of this gets on the rock, I don't really care, just because realistically, I'm going to be painting on the rocks after. I could have done the OSL colors while I was doing the actual lava on the bases, but I chose not to because I kind of wanted to experiment back and forth with the brightness on here. And realistically, probably will go brighter on the rocks than I try on the natural lava floor itself. But okay, that was probably the hardest rock to get. No, can we go right along the edges? Blend it in if need be if I accidentally get a dip in the shadow. There it is, not so. I think it's kind of thin, so it's going to just turn it into a bit of a recess. Right. Looking at pictures of lava, it seemed to be, despite what some people think their bases, it does seem to be, a lot of time there's like this bright line of the lava right where it's meeting up with the rock or the, you know, the more solidified lava. And now, I keep saying lava. I believe lava is correct. So if I remember correctly, lava is when it's underground magma when it's on the surface. And these guys are in a cave system, so that would still be underground, but I could be wrong. If I am, correct me. So there it is. There's the very bright lava base. Once I paint the black rim, it'll be higher contrast. And right now it looks a bit weird because it's just kind of like the reddish brown color, when really the OSL should be probably more orangey. I'm probably not going to actually do the yellow for the OSL. Again, what type of color it actually gives off is probably more orangey than it is yellow. So, but Ishmael, let's move on. We've got our first of my earth guard that I'm working on. There we go. It's actually funny, the base almost looks a bit textured, partially because of brush strokes, partially because I think when I was gluing these guys, some super glue slipped and actually probably did create some real texture. But lava's not flat, so it's not like a liquid flow. It's perfectly smooth. In these cases, I don't think too much. I'm not going to go any further than this. I could make spots. For the most part, I think the red was 2 layers of the red, slowly building it up. Every other color since has just been kind of 1 layered on top, and intentionally relatively thin so that it's not a pure opaque layer, so you kind of get a bit of the blending between the layers. Just get kind of cheap, easy, kind of pseudo blendy. Kind of have some orange one. It's my first time as well. I've done a lava base on like one other model, and it didn't turn out very well. I think I tried to think through it too much and be like, okay, here's like a stream, hotter lava. Here's a lighter things like that. And I think you just kind of let it do its own thing, and really the goal is just to make it so it feels hot, so that when we do the OSL, it reads as it coming from there. Overall, the color is reading more red, so that is definitely the bulk of the lava. Fine, I may go back and add some more orange. We'll see how it looks once we start actually adding the OSL. Whether the lava itself needs to become more orange. Other hood guard, showing you the process of where they are right now. Illuminated by the moon, or it's a cave, so probably not the moon. But residual light in the cave. It's like a video game or a movie where it's like, oh, the cave is pitch black, but still need to be able to see the actors. So there's just that kind of blue light filter. Last minute thing, so I'm not sure if anyone's gonna tune in live, but if people do, welcome. I'm trying to look up occasionally. If you are watching, put a comment, and then I'll know people are watching. But I did get a game in yesterday with the Mounthaven that will be coming up as a battle report probably relatively soon. Unfortunately, I was hoping to be fully painted for them, but I didn't. But they were at least at a painted enough stage that they looked pretty good. This one's going to be fun once that OSL for the fire starts coming in more. Thinking what I might do, depending on how I feel about the lava at the end, I might just do a kind of like a glaze of an orange over the entire like lava bed, just to blend in the colors a bit more. There's some places like here where the orange to the red is maybe a bit more stark than I want. Half brushing and half just kind of like stippling it, kind of. I don't want it to be like 100% uniform. We're kind of getting the yellow everywhere there, but not necessarily. Some places might shoot out a bit more because it's lava, magmites. Definitely not a very predictable substance. Realistically, these doors would all be dying from toxic fume inhalation from being this close. Probably not the best for them. Okay. Oh, sorry, I was saying Hearthguard. This is actually the first of my raiders. This is the more dynamic raider. Got the nice lighting from that angle. One thing I find when doing schemes like this is every model has like there's like a one angle that's like the best angle, right? Like this guy's right from the front. He's kind of hunched over the lava, so you get the nice OSL color from above. Whereas his back looks cool, but it's relatively boring. I see I missed doing some lava there, so quickly catch up on him. Some of the guys, everyone has all the models that I have like the main area of lava, and then there's some of them have these like back areas where there's an overhang just because of the nature of the basin. I'm not going to do the OS off on the body, but it's because the overhang is catching it. I'm doing this just because I did do the spray on the rock there, so it will be able to while that dries. Front. Notice my guys want a variety of different paint handles. I heard regarding the first rider or on the classic GW, the newer models have handles, and the next 5, and this guy's just on a little bit of cork. I got it like a hobby store. Cork plug almost, which work. They aren't quite as nice. And then the characters are on a bit of a it's custom maple or something like that. Not custom. Something maple. So they have cool paint. It's nice. It's kind of like a magnetic thing that the model. You have like little discs. You'll see. I'll show you now. So like Roderick, right? So there's like this little disc that you can attach them to. There's a magnet on the bottom, and then it magnetizes to a handle. So those are fun to easily pop on and off. Okay, let's see. Has this back dried? Has. I'm just gonna quick another layer there of the red. Now you're seeing how I did the lava in the first place. So we're just gonna put them up above instead of back, just because I'll need to add other layers as his paint dries. Now onto the militia sergeant. Wow. I was doing a bit of orange to get the streams. The plan is also what I'm going to do is after I get the lava more or less how I like it, what I'm going to do is come back in with a off black red, like a hull red or burnt red or something like that, similar to the color of the base layer of the OSL. I'm just going to do some speckling where there's areas of the lava that are starting to harden. Next malicious, the front sheet pretty clean, and then harder more as you get around the side and the back to get the quills on. These little diamonds have been a lot of fun playing around with the scheme, just because of how the different angles on one shake really let you catch all the color that both sets of OSL in one go, which is pretty cool. Like, realistically, the scheme isn't realistic. You never actually see this in real life, more like an abstraction. In which case, the aesthetically pleasing positioning of the light is what we're going for. It's kind of like, even in like movies, right? Like, there's times where it's like, okay, that's, they're saying it's the afternoon, or they're saying it's, the afternoon or the evening, but based on where they're shooting, it's much better. The lighting was better, like, was it the magic hour or whatever? I believe afternoon, and it's like, well, sure, anyone that knows lighting knows that that's not actually an afternoon light, it's a morning light, or that's not actually a morning light, it's an afternoon light, but it looks better, and that's what really matters. Okay, so now we're going back to him. So now we're doing a 50-50 mix of the red and the orange. Just going to try and get that further in there. Basically, this part will fire up very little bit of that is nice and nice. The militia. Next, I've got a second male militia. I've been trying to think, and anyone has thoughts, which is, I do think Mounthaven is a faction where you might want to run multiple militia. Now the question is, how to modify the militia so that you don't have two identical units. Some people don't care about that. I do prefer not having identical units. Just because, I don't know, this makes it more interesting. My bunny is attacking my leg. Oh, it is because it is her dinner time. So I'm just going to turn off the webcam just 1 second and quickly go feed her, because otherwise she'll be very grumpy. Trying to get those focus on fire more. There we go. Okay. And this guy is done. And let's check back on our pour raider. Yeah, looks dry enough, so we're just going to go in with some straight orange. Get it further in here. There we go. Let that dry for just a second, and then we'll put on that. The color, the yellow orange mix that we can work on here. There's the final militia. I think I'm done with the blue part. At least for now, I might go back and add a spot highlight here or there, like maybe on particularly reflective things, like the blade of the axe. I don't want to add too much right now, though. I think the main light of interest that I want to emphasize is the OSL from the lava. So I want to see how that looks once I've done that OSL before going back and adding even more highlight to the other sections. Hopefully get this guy done. And then we're done all of the units, and we just have the characters. Okay, he's good. Okay, let's start the characters. We're going to start with the folder. So there she is. Let's focus that a bit better. There we go. The nice thing about this holder is because it's magnet spent. Now there's like this whole part, blue part, the bear that's not really colored at all. And that's because I'm going to go back in and brighten that up with its own painting. So let's just work on her face logo. Listening to, I think I have music playing in the background. Hopefully the music's not too loud. If it is, someone comment either now or someone watching it afterwards. If they've gotten this far, it'll be too loud. Just so I know to adjust it in the future. It's hard for me to be able to check how loud it is without just getting echoes from myself. see, but so it's not going up I wonder if I can do a waffle. No, okay. I think this is yellow enough for me. I think going pure yellow, or some tutorials where they go ice yellow, I think would be a bit too much. I'm just trying to, in my head, trying to work out and decide if I want to do the speckles of lava now. Here's the sacred fire. I'm actually thinking, well, why aren't you painting his fire at the same time? But I don't want the red fire all to be coming from one direction. So I think what I might do, since it's kind of like a magic fire, thinking I'm going to do a blue fire, the same color as the folder's spirit there. It is kind of supposed to be like a spiritual fire. I kind of wished they had made the Keeper of the Sacred Fire spellcaster. It's not that it would really matter. Probably hang out in minutes, but it would be nice. For some feeds, or if he is solo, being able to dispel. I don't think you really dispelling with the boulder is really, I don't really want to do it in the most dire circumstances, because I don't want tinge on the folder. Not that they're getting tinge often from casting their own spell, but you don't want them to be stressed out, because they can essentially turn their second action into an attack for one of your more important guys. Here's Olga. Her lava is kind of all around her. Because, she's the more reckless, in some ways, dwarf. By reckless, I mean, she's the one that's definitely going to jump into the battle. And her bonus to everyone's charge, they get motivated to do it, is really nice. Because people expect the dwarves to be slow, and then suddenly you have a better charge distance than most units in the game. Like, they're charging they have a threat of 12, because they charge 10 when all of them are people, which is pretty good. Outside of like elven characters, you don't really get that fast. They're usually 11, but most humans are 8 or 9, so it's pretty good. We have the limited edition War Augur. Definitely feel like I want to blend the brightness on his head in a bit. It's a bit too bright, but I'm not going to go with that. Good. It's bothering me right now, so I'm going to do it right now. It's the problem with it's the problem with having such a big head. Just a nice big flat surface. the colors for the blue was dark sea blue from AK, and then mixing in flesh tones actually. But first the sunny flesh tone, and then just the basic flesh tone. That's much better. And I get easily distracted from what I'm doing. So, try and fix up some things, but you know, faces and stuff are often the most important. Especially with a giant chrome dome like that. So I'm just gonna bring back a bit of the basic skin tone mix. I think actually the problem is it shouldn't be right on top. It should be like kind of more to the side or something. So highlighting it like a raised surface on your helmet. And more if I was just like okay. We were doing his face. Let's get back to that. I already said I might want to try and smooth out some of the highlights later, but again, this is a very stylistic side. Really not hiding any brush strokes or anything. If anything, like on the faces especially, I was intentionally trying to brush strokes. I did multiple layers of red, but it was intentionally done in a way that I was mindful of the direction I was brushing in, to kind of try and elicit a bit of a flow in the glowing opacity, because it wasn't over black, it was over that reddish brown, rusty red color. So that's him done, and the final one is Roderick, who we already saw earlier in the stream. Now, let's quickly get him. Take that. There. Anyone that was also watched the unboxing and assembly stream, he's the only one that the cork shoots past his base, and largely because his little platform is so big, it was hard to get cork to be both under it in a way that looked good, and it left room for lava. So that is all of the lava at this stage done. And now the question is, do I go into the OSL, or if I do the speckling? I'm gonna start with this whole red, and really, the whole red isn't what I used as the primer, but it's pretty close. Actually, we're going to test the Hall Red color, and we're going to do that by taking Ishmael. And as I said, the lava, we have these bigger rocks, but I think what we're going to do is we're going to start adding. So sometimes you'll see people do this with black, but especially because I'm going to be doing OSL with it, realistically, if there's just small patches where the lava is hardening. You don't want it to be like polka dots. Natural, but also look good. This isn't a black. Honestly, it's not even that close to black, but when you see it next to the fire, or like the brighter, very vibrant reds, you almost can't tell. Like it almost feels like it's a black that's being illuminated by its surroundings. So, which is kind of what we want, right? Like it is. When magma hardens, it is usually like a blacker color. Part of the trick here is going to be to not necessarily make them all the same size, a variety of smaller patches. Bigger patches. It looks okay. Yeah. I won't add too many more. I think I'm gonna stop that for now. Decide if I want to do it or not. See how I feel after I've let it dry and stuff. And we're going to mix into that some vermilion, and we'll start doing the OSL. I could start with straight red, but I do want it to be, more variety. Up. Could also just take this and then, only do the high parts and just thing, but I want a nice fade, so this part's gonna actually probably go over more of it. I do want there to be a little bit more red to it. You can always, I'd rather start darker and work my way up to red than have to reestablish the darker OSLs. One thing about this color, this combination, is it will be less. It's going to be more desaturated because of that red-brown. So we're just going to, down here, we're just going to put it on fairly liberally. We're almost dry brushing, not quite, but close to just dry brushing these rocks. Because I'm just making sure every high part is getting caught with this. There should almost be no real easily visible parts that are that base rusty red. This other little rocks up here. A difficult reason because I think they make the base more interesting, but they do make the game a bit more. It's hard to definitely. Ishmael has 15 perfectly of the other types of basic stuff, but he's just on a 2-foot container. So here now we're going to be a bit more careful. Actually, good highlighting, but highlighting all the light sources. Brighter light source. So this is the same thing, except counterintuitive to normal. The light source is the bottom. It is the base is the light source. So I've done a similar thing before with my O12, which I think I have a painting showcase of some of them on the YouTube channel. If you wanted to check them out, some of the earlier ones of them. Of course, on my Instagram, I think I have a bunch of them. For anyone that used to watch Bromad Academy or the old Maya cast painting competitions, I think even Lost Lieutenant maybe, I used to submit there, so. Probably not actually that far off of the color we started with in terms of the prime, so. Especially near this bottom, this is doing it look not very bright at all, which is fine because this will be almost completely covered up. I like to start getting the base done first. Honestly, it seems like the least important part. Okay, now the base. Red glow. This is done. Let's start moving on to there's so much gold trim. So gold trim should be reflected. This is also a bit trickier because I decided to just put it rock on steel, so actually does. The fire is actually essentially it's kind of like when you paint a model with the sun being considered directly above them. The highlight isn't directional really, other than just the entire down. But that's fine. That was our choice, and we will make do. And the key is it's not always the point closest to the light. It's going to be the brightest, because sometimes the rock will be be between direct light. Or if you're thinking when there's those all around, some places that are being obscured from one angle versus another would probably be brighter than the funny thing is this toothpick container actually works pretty great because the lid can rotate. Paper itself probably wouldn't be super reflective, but it'd be at least reflective enough to get the brighter red of this just the base. I won't highlight it as far up. Move on to brighter reds, brighter colors. not modern paper, it's probably some sort of vellum or animal skin or something. So I'm just gonna do that. Especially for some of the early highlights, you don't need to worry. I don't find I worry about texture as much. There we go. As I shake the camera. Problem is my camera is mounted to my desk, so the more I shake, the more it shakes. I probably need to find a way to get something different. Let's do the under of his coat. And again, the fire's coming. His coat goes past the fire that we actually see on the base. It would actually. It's not like right past him. There's no lava, so. Red. And this step will probably take the longest of all of the lava's OSL, because the more as you progress further and further down the highlighting, you'll cover less. Get that there. Again, some places should probably be redder than I'm going to paint them, just because one, ease of getting the brush into some of these undercloak areas, two, also just for the sake of it being a model and contrast, and really, it's a question of what looks good more than what is the most realistic. Just that. You'll see a lot of the time I'm literally holding the model upside down, and that's because it's just easier to visualize where the quote-unquote highlight should be when the high point is up. Just like you'd hold a model upright when doing highlights from above, sometimes it's handy to flip the model all the way upside down when doing it like this. And one thing you do also want to make sure you don't do, get too much into areas that we've worked up with the blue. So I'm just gonna work on this cloth. Let's close here. The lower area is, when I did him at least, primarily not blue, so I don't need to worry about it too much yet. We're seeing it's coming along, it's starting to get a bit brighter. I'll take a step back in a little bit and show comparison maybe between this and one of the other models that we haven't done this to yet. I'm not being too specific about the light on these. I'm just kind of wet brushing, just letting my wet brush kind of catch all the high points on them. There's a point here where I should flip it upright just so I can see where I've done the blue, just to make sure I'm not accidentally overlapping with that. You see already the glow is starting to feel more, the lava glow is starting to feel a lot brighter just from these simple first early passes. Be careful not to missing some boot down here. Oh. There. And I think I missed this boot completely, so we'll just do some of this, do some of that. Cool. Now we're going to work from, I think we're just going to work from the front to start. We're just going to keep moving around. Now he has all of this patterning on the book and all that, so That's going to be one of those times that we definitely want to flip it upside down just to really see which parts I want to hit. It is meant to be gold in the art. I'm definitely envisioning it as gold, so the trick is to highlight up the blue and just trying to make sure I'm only catching the parts that should be the red. Undersides of all of them. Again, now, realistically, the angle is off. Probably all of this should be touching the rubber. But it's going to look better if we at least put some of the hot underlight on them, even if in terms of realism, probably would get too much. You can justify this as, he's not just standing still, it's in motion, so it's the residual after image of the light bouncing off of it as it moves. Look at billowing a second ago. You're looking at the green a little bit after image when it was going. But really, the answer is it just looks better. So I'm going to do it. So, and because it's not an area that I think actually we won't go probably much further than this quick little brushing of a bit here or there. I'll quickly do these kind of scrolls first. These are a nice shape to find. So we're just gonna catch that. See there, very quickly just having those spots of light really to make it look like that is well. You might be seeing a few places where you're like, just add a bit more there. There. Okay. And keep going back. Go back to this tassels. Part of the reason we did that airbrushing from the start is to establish it. Now, his hair is going to be blue and glowing, so some of this might actually be a waste of time because we're going to end up doing not as bright, some brightish stuff in his hair, which will replace some of this work, but that's fine. I'd rather get it done now and then go back. The smaller OSL. If you're doing this like multi-OSL type of scheme, where the OSL rather than being a little bonus touch, but is the actual bulk of the paint job itself, I think it's always best to start with the bigger points of heat. Go back to the smaller ones. Okay, so we're starting to see the glow coming in nicely. One of my favorite parts of doing things like this is actually when we get to the face. sharp edge like that also is really a good place just to be like, cool looks. There's like these parts of the sleeves there. Now we're getting to the point where on top you're not going to have too much of the light. And below, kidding, because it's just curves. More. Almost gonna be done with the first coat. Again, so cheap. Pretty happy with how that looks. Some of the lower parts of the gold, because gold metallic trim should catch the light a bit more. Just a bit. We're going to come back. This is just the first color, right? So there's that. Final thing is you definitely want to do the face. Flip them upside down. Underside of cheeks, jawbone. I'm going to get too much on the eyes just because that. Glow on it otherwise. But there we go, that was the first pass of visual. Let's see a couple other things. So, looks looking good. Okay, I think that's pretty good for Ishmael. Seeing how the rock seems a lot brighter. And this rock's going to get a lot brighter, so I don't need to worry about it too much. But there we go. There's Ishmael up to this stage. Some of these places I probably won't hit again. Some of them I will. But again, we want. So like, the light's not actually probably going to get there, but I think it looks a bit better if we add a bit of the red up there as well. So it's funny, this is why I had laughed the other day. I was talking to one of our locals because I had my Mounthaven there, and I was showing the skiing, and he was like, oh, and then you're gonna like then go back and like paint them, you know, in other colors and stuff. And I was like, no, the whole point is the OSL. Yeah, like it seems like a, you know, so it's like kind of like a dark lit cave with the lava streams in it. And they're like, oh, well, that seems like it's like a excuse to only paint 3 colors. And I laughed because like, oh, that back looks empty. Look at the back. Yeah. It's going to be helpful to have a bit of those blue mixtures on the palette while I do this in case there's places I go over too much. But I'm like, yeah, this scheme always looks cool. These types of things look cool, but they do take a bunch of work. Okay. Now, the other guy should be faster. because they don't have the lava covering the whole thing. And I say that, and then I immediately pick up a Hearthguard who has the giant shield. But, anyways, same course as before. We're going to start. This one actually. White brush. Hard. Nice brush. Touching all the high parts. That's one of the nice things about the cork. This has nice, easy built-in texture that you can catch. A little bit further there. Here. Again, right? We don't know what's off the thing, so maybe go a bit further like that. I didn't do it on Ishmael. We can even do a bit of just like we kind of did the opposite. So there's some brighter parts of blue on the base. Kind of catch the parts of the rock closer to the light, on top even, just to get a bit more color interest on the base. We'll actually grab Ishmael back. Look at this, he doesn't look as much as he is a sculpted base. Also, his base is surrounded by lava, so it makes it a bit less necessary because you don't need to add that much more interest. The entire base is surrounded by lava. What's more interesting than that? And yes, I am a brush looker. Okay, so let's start. Always like looking for nice, good nice angles, so things like this. If it's the other way, I'd be below. Well, again, I think a lot of the light will probably be on the top part more, just because that is. No, we're going to just make the angles have it so they're the other side's not. But still have a nice point of contrast as it's the go through and just keep highlighting. Reverse highlight. That's pretty straightforward. This first layer obviously is a lot more, and as we get into progressively brighter colors, you're adding less of, just going to straight red and adding in the oranges, maybe even the yellow for right around the rocks. You both shrink the area that you are highlighting and you reduce how far up the model you're going to highlight. I didn't do that as much with the moonlight or the residual light, just because, well, just residual light is everywhere. It's not even necessarily having a source other than for the point of the model. I've made it the up, because the fire's down below. But you have the residual light, but the other point from the source, since you're getting brighter and brighter, what you want to really emphasize how bright it is closer to the source, because you actually stop glowing as high with the highlight if you blow up less the model. So like this time I'm going to go red, all this red all the way to the top. But as I get lower, then you maybe the straight red only goes to here, and then the orange might only go to here, and the yellow might go, and so on and so forth. The other thing you can do with that is in order to play with the idea of different materials reflect light more. Different, instead of just being like, that's a straight line where there's nothing. Straight red doesn't go past this line. But you might have that as a general rule unless it's a particularly reflective thing. So for example, maybe the metal of the axe would be brighter than a piece of cloth. Choosing a cloth with somewhere like the folder, right? If you have a piece of cloth or if the militia has cloth and things like that, well, maybe the cloth doesn't get the brighter highlight halfway up the model, but the head of the axe does, because metal is definitely more reflective than cloth, usually. And that's kind of how you can just kind of play with the brightness to help distinguish different materials. Okay, so now we're getting into the diamonds, and I do love the diamonds. We do need to be careful, because each of these diamonds was from above highlighted with the blue. But we don't want to get on any of the part that was highlighted to the blue. We're just going to flip it upside down. Just really make sure we're keeping the red to below points. Kind of work up the model, but sometimes if I hit a patch of similarly situated stuff, like all of these diamonds, I'll start just knocking them all out one by one, because we're getting a bit of a scratch. I'm really just going over some of the blue, probably because some of these I probably went too far with the blue, or the blue from the top of one got into the bottom of the other, so I wouldn't be completely forbidding myself from getting in. Okay, go back down the bottle a bit. Straps. Fingers facing downward. When I painted the blue, I always left the shield from the last, just use a big old slab of lava. It's interesting, but I just needed to knock it out in one go, so I can work my way around the rest of the model first. We'll probably do something like this. Let's get her the underside of her face, especially. On this model, other models won't have their faces as illuminated because they're not facing the lava directly, but she kind of is, so we're just gonna get her face nice and nose piece. The upper side should be good enough. Cool. Start moving up the hat. The blues you see on that side. Oh, that's right. Focus. So you see the blues on that side more, so I'm gonna turn to the other side more. Like this might actually be as far as the hat gets. Rusty red undercoat, other than helping me know where to put the colors. Also means that I'm going to be going a bit faster than not needing to do too hard with this part of the model. So there she is. She's going to go off and primarily the main body model. Immediately looks significantly better, more like the lava is illuminating her. It's one of those things. So before I started with the actual lava, just like the rusty red, they look more like they're being hit from below. But the moment you start, I'm listening to you, the model starts looking worse. The moment you start actually developing that lava and making it look brighter, when you haven't done this step yet, the rest of the model looks more like it doesn't read as glowing because it doesn't seem to be matching how bright we made the lava in the first place. So Now we're once again getting to the point. Here we're gonna definitely put a bunch of red on the blade. These guys do have really nice paint blades. They have a nice high point that you can really easily trace. But I think this level we're pretty much all of it. So that's pretty much all of it. Look, we can kind of look at her. See that transition as you rotate really feels more even like looking at her face. I'll probably go more on her face for the hat, even if I don't go to hat, just because faces are accent points. And we just have her shield to go. I'm intentionally not using like a super opaque right now. It'll cover well enough, but it might be the case again. I'll do, but at least bring down a bit just so it blends a bit. So the colors. There's going to be these points that aren't really where I haven't really highlighted the red, I really haven't highlighted the blue. It's kind of just base color, kind of a blue for the most part, kind of adore that blue. So kind of like if the light in the lava isn't putting something enough, then it'll default to the residual of the room, which is the blue, which is what we want, because realistically, if it's not being illuminated with lava, it should be whatever the base room color is. So, doing this. It's funny, you can see the opposite angle done blue on a bunch of these. I want to make this edge a bit hotter. There you go. Get the backwards angle. So. I assume the shield is normal, so I do a bit of the scratchiness that I like to do. For metal, get the sound, get that, and there we go. So we go from down here, transition to the other side. So cool. Did spray it, you could have put the stuff on it. There we go. And just, sometimes it's hard to tell. Let's put that side by side to see the difference. So, you're already seeing the difference in brightness just by doing that one first layer of highlight. Already, it's starting to look more and more like the lava is actually the thing illuminating. So, moving on to the next guy. And we'll just keep on doing this. Actually, it's getting pretty late. I'm actually going to probably log off for now. Thank you for anyone that joined in to watch, and hopefully anyone that watches in the after time as well. But I will definitely be posting more photos, and maybe if I'm painting and have some time, I'll throw on a stream. If I can do it with advanced warning, I will. But otherwise, if you see a notification, you'll see it. That's why it helps to like, follow, and subscribe, because then you'll get notifications if you have that bell clicked when I go live. But anyways, have a good day, and may the dice be ever in your favor.